This is vlog number 7, the drive80.com vlog number 7, and today I'm going to talk about how an animation is made. So a lot of people ask me this, and so I'm just basically going to show you. So I'm going to mark it here. So what we start off here is we go to goal, and that's really that's the main focus of what this video is going to be about. A lot of people come to me and they're like, hey, we want an animation, and I go, great, well what are we solving? And they're like, well, we want a video. Putting a cap on. So I'm like, okay, awesome. Why don't we start with where you're possibly losing money, which would be this little diagram right here. And it's basically like, here's the beginning entry point and here's the end point of where you want to get to. And right here, it's falling through the system. So I try to ask people like, where is this happening? Is it happening in the beginning page of your website? Are people coming to your site and they don't understand your company and they're leaving? So you're like, okay, well, we need to fix that. Or is it an internal process with employees where they're just not getting something and their mistake or their uneducation, the fact that they're uneducated about it or they're not getting it is keeping you from upselling or keeping the system running smoothly because they just don't understand it. And if you could just simply say, hey, think of it like this or do this, it would make sense. Then they're like, oh yeah, I totally get it. Now that's a part of the system where you're not losing money anymore. So that is what we want to find with a goal. And then we want to come up with, so let's say the goal is, like, keep it simple. So it's the front page of your website, right? So the front page of your website, you want to do a video that explains what your company does in like 60 to 90 seconds. So we're like, okay, great, let's start off with a script. So script is basically saying like, what are we going to say? And this is like the most important part. I mean, yeah, the animation and the design is really great and that's what's going to keep people's attention. But the script is, the wording of this is, how do you say it to somebody where they get it? And how do you keep it simple where you're not adding all this technical crap, because that's the problem you have already to begin with. You're throwing all this technical bullshit at someone and they're like, just tell me exactly what you're solving for me. So keep it emotional. Like, think about like an emotional reason of why you're solving this problem for your clients. And that's where you want to start with, you know. So we tell people, when someone asks me what I do, I don't say I have an animation company. I'll say I have an animation company, but I'll build on that and I'll say we help businesses who are frustrated that people don't get what they do, or they're struggling to gain awareness, or they're worried that they're worried that they're not hiring the right people. And those are three different things that I've dealt with in my company, where someone goes, oh, well, that one about being frustrated. Yeah, I'm frustrated because people just don't get what we do. I'm like, great. Then we'll make a script towards that, because we make an animation towards that, because what that is saying to me is like, yeah, like I'm emotionally pissed off because this keeps happening. So you have to think about your clients, like, what are they frustrated about? What are they angry about? What annoys them? And what is your problems? What does your product solve for them? And that's what you want this video to address. And that's what you could just do it really quickly and just paint that picture of someone being mad and like, oh, this computer keeps breaking on me, and the computer has an evil face, and like, you know, it takes a hammer and starts bashing the guy in the head, because that's what it feels like. And they're like, I hate computers. You're like, oh, our product actually makes you love computers. So that's where you start with the script. Initial design is basically where we come up with the basic design of what we think the video should look like. So this is what the characters, we're thinking the colors should look like this. The character, if we should have characters, they should look like this. And we go back and forth with the client and they go, okay, great, this looks good, let's move forward. And we're awesome. So we'll storyboard it. And storyboard is the entire script laid out from beginning to end, flat. And my designers, or if I'm taking the project on, or my designers taking the project on, what we do is we'll design every frame, not every frame, but like frames that lead into frames. So we'll show like, you know, kind of what the transitions would look like, but beginning to end, and this is what this whole thing is going to be. And then we get on a call and we show our clients, we walk them through it and say, all right, before we animate this is this whole thing. So we keep it at this stage, because if we get to here and all of a sudden if we didn't show them this whole thing and we animate it, it's like super time consuming to go back and redesign it, because then you got to put it in the animation, you got to put it in After Effects, and it's the technical setup is just so, it could be pretty insanely complex, that's why we want to stop everything here, because if they're like, oh, we don't like the way this character looks, or that middle section, let's change that. We're like, great, so we do that and show it to them, and then once they sign off on that, then we get a voiceover to record the script, and that's where we find a voice talent and say, like, we get a couple options, and we're like, hey, can you just read a couple sentences, because we want to show our clients some voice options and see if it matches the tone of what we're trying to say, because the voice, the music, the sound, the visual, everything, all this stuff comes together to make this work. And if you have like if it's an aggressive piece, or if it's like an assertive piece and you have a weak voice, it doesn't go along with this tone of this. And if it's like a very like soft piece and you have a very hard voice going with it, it doesn't match. And if the music's like, if you're playing metal and it's like a very light tone, then it just doesn't flow. So the music has to match with the voice, has to match with the design, and the flow of the animation has to carry someone beginning to end in like a fluid motion. It has to be like, there's an emotional thing, like you're emotionally bringing someone in, the music catches them, the voice is calmly talking them through or getting them through what this whole thing is. And then the movement of this stuff is carrying you through it. And that's what we think about. That's what I think about every time I'm looking at any finished piece for my team or when I'm doing it myself. So then we animate it, and again, I basically just describe what that is. And the animation part is like really technical. We're taking files apart in Illustrator. We're like, if it's a character, I mean, you literally have to, let me just kind of get this marker. So like, let's say that you have a character. So, and they've got like their eyes, their mouth, that's a character. They've got their hair. Obviously we draw better stuff than this. But I mean, all of these pieces, like if you have to move this, is there a limb? Is there a hand? Is there feet here? All of these things have to be separate in an animation. And when you bring it in, you have to like connect the foot to the leg to the torso to the waist to the torso. The hand to the wrist to the arm to the torso, and the head, and then you got the face. You gotta set that whole thing up. That could take like a couple hours just to do that. And then you gotta bring this guy into this piece, and then, from you live in whatever the timing is, it could be like, it could be anywhere from 60 to 90 seconds usually. And I mean, that first 10 seconds, that could take 8 hours to animate. So it's depending on how complex the design is, I mean, this stuff takes a lot of time. And that's what people don't really understand, and that's one thing I really want to address when people are asking about animation, is that part of it where we get here. I mean, this is like super time consuming because you want to make it very, the devil's in the details, and you can just have a character just like, if this was it, I could just like have him move across the screen, it's like, do, oh, I'm here, and I'm just moving all like choppy like this. I mean, technically it could work, and if the client wants that, then yeah, it won't take that much time. But if he's like, his arms moving, he's got facial expressions, he's like alive in there, I mean, that takes a lot of time. So that is the bare bones of how an animation is made. Depending on what you're asking for, I mean, this could take 2 weeks to 2 months. And that's pretty much it. I'd probably get more in depth in a lot of these. Some of the stuff we do is very simple, some of the stuff we do is very complex, and that determines how long it takes. But yeah, so if you have any questions, not anymore, but if you have any questions, post them below in the comments. Make sure that you subscribe, make sure that you check out yesterday's vlog, and if you want, you can email me directly, mike@drive80.com, if you have any questions. But I'd love for you to comment below, because it helps, build this thing up, and other people can see it, and I can answer it there, just to keep it more external. So yeah, thank you.